Hello, everyone. How are you?
Hey, happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday.
And just in case Pastor Dana didn't know, every week I have to talk in this voice, and so now people expect me to do it. Well, maybe I think they expect me to do it.
They
But
don't.
how are you guys?
They don't.
They don't. He said they don't.
Man, we have such a good show today, and it probably will depart from the norm, but
Mhm.
I just think this is going to be a special show. I can kind of feel it coming. And but we're gonna do today on the show. We got Pastor Dana D. Berry
Yes.
on the show.
Yes, yes.
And if you guys don't know who she is, I need y'all to sit down. And if your chair got a seatbelt on it, put it on because you might get rocked. You're gonna hit some turbulence. You're gonna hit some stuff that you can identify with, but you're also gonna know how to heal from it today. Okay. So, but
That's
I
what I
got a question
love.
for Pastor Dana D. Berry and Keela B. Got a
Well,
question
we didn't prep her. So
for
you have to prep her when you
for
ask us the question. We have to say we're going all the way there.
okay, when I ask the question, we say in unison all the way there. But
Okay.
I got to tell you who we scratching today first.
Okay.
We are scratching Motown legend Lamont Dozier.
Okay.
Okay, so Lamont Dozier is one third of the hit team Holland Dozier Holland,
Okay.
who wrote all of the songs that you guys sing, but they didn't. They still get paid as being writers. So this dude is so widely popular inside the industry, but when he made his own albums, he didn't make many hits. But he did make one hit, "Trying to Hold On to My Woman." That was hey, don't laugh.
Okay.
1973 was a good year for music.
Well, I wasn't here yet,
Yeah,
but
we know. Yeah, we know. And he
73 me
ironically,
either.
I know.
I'm, I feel so bad for y'all. Ironically, he was not a hit on Motown Records. All right,
Okay.
so I'm throw this on here for a second. So I got a question for the pastor and Keela B, and that question is: where are we going today?
We're going all the way there.
All the way there.
Literally.
Where are we going today? All the way there.
So, hello, everybody. Listen, before we get started into the icebreaker, I want to introduce this phenomenal woman who I admire and respect. Um, I've actually been knowing her since we've been younger girls, but life happens. We all live our lives and we grow different ways and all of that great stuff. But she has her own ministry. So Tracy Mullins was tagging me in her post, and I got reconnected with her, and I'm like, okay, I need to hop back on her prayer line. But she does this 28-day. Well, this year is plus one because it's a leap year, prayer every morning, and she's also doing prayers at night. So let me tell you, it is honor and a privilege that she is sitting on the panel today. Thank you, because you have literally been busy, and I'm following you every morning. And when I say the word go forth on this prayer line, you guys just have to experience it for yourselves. I can only tell you my experience, but I'm gonna tell you, you will be changed. That's all I can say. Now listen, Dana D. Berry, Pastor Dana D. Berry, and your married name is Mizell, right?
Yes, and I can explain that later. We can talk about
Okay.
that.
Yeah, but I just wanted to acknowledge that she is married. So don't come in here talking about tell us about Pastor Dana D. Berry. She's married. Okay. So anyway, she's been a spiritual leader for over 30 years. Well, you look 30. So, okay, we'll talk about that later. Okay, she harmonizes her many roles of wife, mother, midwife, consultant, entrepreneur, author, and prayer warrior daily by anchoring on a personal dedication to intentional living. So you wear many, many hats, clearly.
Yes.
Pastor Dana is also the CEO of Dana Berry Ministries, and she has been featured regularly on the Word Network, TCT, 910 a.m., and other media platforms. Now, she has a very extensive bio, so I wanted to kind of sum it down because she do a lot of things. So I'm just thank you for allowing to share some of your time with All the Way There podcast today. We really
My
appreciate
pleasure.
it.
Thank you for
So
the invitation.
I really appreciate it. And we're going to get really down deep into this. And for the first time ever, any of our family that follow the podcast know that I have to have the driver's seat. So today it's going to be, we're going to allow the Holy Spirit to lead. And that's what we're going to do. But Aaron has a icebreaker for us
Oh
today.
yeah. I mean, you even said I had an icebreaker and I forgot about it. Okay, so look, what person in your life that has been so impactful that you cannot imagine your life being what it is today without them? Now we all will say Jesus. So beside Jesus, what human person fits that category? Ladies first, guests first.
Yes.
So her name is Rosemary Mims. Used to be
Okay.
Mims. When I met her in the 8th grade, it was Rosemary Mims. She is now Rosemary Collins. However, I was an 8th grader at Faith Christian Academy, which was the school Christian academy that was ran by Word of Faith with Bishop Keith Butler. She was and is still such a strong voice in my life, still so very influential. But in the 8th grade, she was not my teacher, but I always looked to her as a mentor, as another mom, and she just always kept me encouraged. Always told me she knew it was something special about me. She knew I was anointed. She knew that God was going to use me for something amazing. She always made sure I knew scripture, kept the word of God before me, and she always just loved on me, loved on my family, loved on my mom, my brother. Also went to the academy. So from 8th grade all the way up until now, literally, we just texted the other day. She is very, very present and very, very influential. I could name several other people, but she's one of the first people that actually popped in my head. I love me some Rosemary Collins.
I love that. I love that. So for me, I'm gonna actually say, believe it or not, well, I'm not gonna even say believe it or not. For me, it's my daughter because it seemed like when I had her, God put me in this space where I had this person to kind of look after. But what came with it is this little bitty child who always seemed like God was speaking through her. So when I was navigating through some of these life trials that I had to face, it was always something coming through her mouth that was reminding me that God is still in control. And I would be like, where did she learn that at? Or where did she pick that up? But it was always like God was trying to keep me on the straight and narrow. So it kind of ended up being me and her and our tightness and just kind of coming along. And, just even her at 5 years old, I remember just having a bad day and arguing, driving on the road. And I just remember her standing in the back seat. Look, she was literally still sitting in the car seat. And she's like, well, Mom, my teacher always tell us, don't look back. Keep looking at the board, look forward, because you don't need to worry about what's behind you. What's behind you is behind you. And I remember thinking like, that is so true. I mean, not just in this incident with me irritated with this driver behind me, but I just always felt like God used her to kind of get things to me in a sense. So I'm gonna say my daughter. When I had her, that changed everything.
Mm, that's great. Well, mine is me. I'm so glad I met me. I don't
You
know what to
Ah.
do. No, I'm just kidding. Mine is my mama. My mother. I mean, you cannot negate how impactful and all the things that my mom did for us. She had 3 children. I tell this story around Christmas time. Keela's kind of tired of hearing it. My mama had $21 to her name after she paid all the bills, and each one of her kids got $7, and that was it. That's all
Mm.
we got for Christmas. And so the next day we went and blew it at Burger King, but she gave her last to her children. She fronted off gang members because she wasn't having no gang members in her house. She fronted off a murderer. This guy who we used to live next door to this guy who was rumored to be killing people. She fronted him off and dared him to touch one of her kids. I mean, this is 5'2" lady. She backing down all
Bear.
these neighborhood giants. So you can't erase that in my mind.
right,
She was an
right.
That's
example.
good.
She didn't tolerate you messed up in school. So she had, here's the last thing, she had such an impact on me that I saw her working, taking care of 3 kids by herself, getting off the bus in all seasons, that I didn't want to mess up in school because I didn't want her to add another burden to everything that she was carrying.
Mm.
So if I hadn't had the mother I had, I wouldn't have thought school was important. I would have probably joined the gang because of low self esteem. A whole lot of things that would have happened had she not been there. It's my mama.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that is so
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah.
I love that. You
And then it
know,
was me. And because if it was me, no, I'm just kidding. Go ahead. So so
well,
all right, so
so
let's get into this deep rooted hurt
yeah,
thing.
I
Yes.
want to get into it because what I was thinking. So for me, one day I'm kind of praying, and Pastor Dana's name dropped down in my spirit. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, I know she holds this Wednesday morning's Bibles, prayer. So I'm like, maybe the Holy Spirit's dropping her name down in my spirit for that. So I'll check her out. Tracy was tagging me in her post, and I'm like, okay, I would go in when Tracy would tag me. But then I get to work and I hear about this deep rooted hurt, and I'm thinking, like, okay, how does that connect? Well, I go on Facebook, and the first person pop up is Pastor Dana Berry. So now I'm kind of thinking about it, and I'm like, is that me? I don't know, maybe it's coincidence. You know how that goes, right? So I go into the prayer and I listen to the prayer, and I'm like, no, it just wouldn't release me. So I reach out to her and ask her, and she says, yes, I have quite a few things I could talk about when it comes to deep rooted hurt. And I'm thinking, like, okay, I heard from God. So what for me, sometimes people feel like they're healed. And when you're on a journey and you don't have anybody to test these things out with, because
Yeah.
you just walking around, you happy, you feeling better, you got certain things out of your life, certain people out of your system, and you're doing good. And then you come up
Mm-hmm.
against some challenges that remind you that, wait a minute, maybe I am still hurt from this because I wasn't able to recover that quick, and I couldn't move around it. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't move around it. I just, so it triggered some things. So I wanted to get that out because sometimes when you aren't challenged in those areas, you don't know.
Mm.
True.
You don't know. And so being in a new relationship sometime, and I'm only speaking for myself. I don't know about you guys out there. But sometimes things come up and you like, nah, I thought I was over that.
Yeah.
This is really still a sting for me. And sometimes it can become crippling,
Mm-hmm.
self-sabotaging, um, still living in a little bit of toxicity that you thought you had released. And so I just wanted to bring this forth for people who are dealing with this, who can possibly think they're over it. They're trying to get over it. And they're just trying to get through it. And I want us to just be open and candid about some things that we need to navigate through to get to the healing part.
Mhm.
I
So how
think
do you
that's great.
propose? Is there a step by step that you have in your mind, or does it depend on the kind of hurt?
I think it depends on the kind of hurt.
Hmm.
But one thing is for sure, if you've been hurt, there's a recovery process. If you
Hmm.
in pain, there's a recovery process. If you go through surgery, there's a healing process. You have a baby, there's a healing process. And
Mhm.
so I don't think that there's any pain or situation that happens that you don't have to make sure you have the proper tools. Every fight is not the same. So
Right.
you don't go, every fight is not for the gun. Every fight is not for a knife. Every spiritual fight is not about a specific, maybe specific scripture. It may not be that scripture that you honed in on all your life. It could be a whole
Right.
different scripture, or the way that you used to pray. God allows you to hone in on prayer harder because of this type of situation that you're in right now. So I think it does definitely depend on the type of pain. It depends on who. It
Mm-hmm.
depends on who, what, when, where, how. It
Mm-hmm. It
depends,
really
because
does.
husband hurt or marital hurt is not the same as a child hurt or a job
Mm-mm.
hurt. It's all it. So it. I think it definitely depends for sure.
Hmm. Yeah. So let's give a scenario real quick. I know a guy who um, is divorced,
Hmm.
and he didn't see it coming. It was just kind of like, boom, divorce. You want a divorce? Why? I thought everything was going good. And he found out later that how they say I fell out of love with you. All that bull crap. It's probably another guy, but then they got divorced, and she wanted to come back. So he's hurt that you left in the first place, and now you're compacting that hurt by trying to come back. What is his
Mm.
healing process? What is step one for him?
In my headspace, I have coached and coach a lot of divorced moms or
Hmm.
women who potentially are looking at divorce. They're separated or they're having a lot of issues in their marriage. So I coach a lot of them from my own experience. One thing that I would say to him is, to thy own self be true. First
Hmm.
of all,
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, do you want to risk allowing, and I use the word risk loosely, but it's the truth. Do you want to risk bringing this person back into your life knowing that they left you so abruptly in the first
Right.
place and now they
Right.
want to come back? And so I always ask people the question, how much do you love you? Do
Mm.
you
Hmm.
love do you love the thought of having someone in your life more than you actually love yourself? Because if you love that thought more than you love yourself, you'll take anything. And
Yeah.
so this person can continue come in and out of your life, in and out of your life as much as they choose to, because you never chose yourself.
Hmm.
So
That's
when
right.
you choose you, it changes your whole thought process about what love is, how you receive love, how you give love out. My church right now, we're in February, so part of what the series is this month is on love. And today's message was about, ironically, Eros love.
Mm-hmm.
How do you actually receive love? How do you give love out? What is your perception of love? What does the Bible say about love? What does the Bible say about relationships? And so when you really do the homework, you'll come to realize, ma'am, maybe you really didn't love me in the first place, because if you really loved me, or even if you had enough respect for yourself or loved yourself enough, like, it's just so many different dynamics. When people do stuff like that, it's something internal. When you
Right.
just can walk
Right.
away from me and you don't talk to me, it just happens so abruptly. It's something happened with you. You didn't deal with
Exactly.
you. And
Hmm.
now
Exactly.
you're protruding that hurt and pain onto me. And when we look at most people's situations, it usually stems from childhood. I can look
Mm-hmm.
back on my childhood and say, I felt so abandoned when my father
Mm-hmm.
died at 12. I
Mm-hmm.
was lost. I was a daddy's girl. So when
Mm-hmm.
I look at my relationships and how I viewed men, how
Mm-hmm.
I viewed how I viewed marriage. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
God. Sorry about that. I thought I put my phone on do not disturb. But
Oh.
how I look at marriage, how y'all didn't even see the interruption. How I look at oh great. Look at MacBook and StreamYard. But how I look at marriage, how I look at relationships, it all stems from my relationship with my father. That was a huge part of my life. So as you grow up and you look at your relationship, you look at all of that. All of that
Right.
matters. And so I would say to him, going back to the original question, you got to make a decision. How much do you love yourself?
Right.
To allow somebody back into your space who abruptly just decided they was walking away from you and now they want to return. Why do you want to come back now? Because we got to deal with why you left in the first place. And then I got to deal with if I even want you back now. Like, let's be honest. Do I want to deal with this again? You could potentially do this again because you did it in the first place. You had enough a mitigated gall to do this to me in the first place. So that's
And
my
I
thoughts.
I think a lot of times people think that statement is so cliche-ish, but it is really true. Like, if you truly, sincerely do not love yourself, you will accept anything.
Absolutely.
You will. And I know people go around saying, I love myself, but sometimes love is more than just the physical part of things. It's the things that's going on the inside. And I think when people feel like I got my hair done, I got my nails done, I wear the finest clothes, yes, I love myself. But then you so tore up on the inside. So you look good on the outside, but ain't nothing going on in the inside. You know, like the lights are on, but nobody's home.
Right.
You know, and it's a lot of disturbance in there. And that is really, really true. And we see a lot of women and men nowadays, because the tables have really been shifting.
Majorly.
Yes. Accepting things that they shouldn't be accepting because they don't even know who they are.
Yeah.
They don't even
Agreed.
know. You know?
When you learn your identity and who it's grounded in, which is God, it's just a whole lot of stuff we just will not settle for when you really learn your spiritual DNA. That's
Yes.
just truth.
Yes.
That was the message today at church.
It was. Okay, so let me do this. We got to roll out the red carpet for the queen. Miss Doris Graham answered the icebreaker question because we're coming right back to Pastor Barry. She said the person that most influenced her was her father. I didn't realize how smart this man was until he was gone. He had 8 kids and his own business. He was a licensed mechanic and a licensed electrician. He wasn't a man of a lot of words, but very effective in dropping nuggets in his life, in my life, in her life. So I just wanted to get that in. And Vern, the hater, says a good friend ordered a well-done steak in front of me at a very high-end steakhouse, and it hurts me to this day. Hater.
Vern is a mess.
That's my boy though. He's funny as I don't want to what. So going back to the hurt, a lot of these hurts have to do with damage to someone's heart, and it's how you repair the heart, even if it gets repaired. Because if it doesn't get repaired, it can be a slingshot effect onto other people. Now, I'm going to give you another scenario. Is that okay, Keela? I'm going to give you another scenario of a woman who got married, but she saw her father beat up her mother, carrying that around for decades. So she gets married, and her husband have a disagreement about money. And when they discuss money, he's just kind of like, well, here's why we shouldn't do this, and here's why we do that. And she's like this. You know, because nobody's going to treat her like her father treated. And he's like, whoa, what? Whoa. So, and I know her. And to this day, she denies it. I don't have a problem. But if she came to you and acknowledged, okay, yeah, I saw that happen, and I can't keep a relationship because of this, what would be one of the first things you would say to her in the healing part?
You have to identify the root of it, which if we're going to say the root is how she saw her parents interacting, you then have to, again, define what is love. If love is unconditional, if love is God, if we have all these examples of God's love towards us, then that means that we have to own his love. And when you take on the love of God, then you treat people like you want to be treated.
Absolutely.
And so when you see dysfunction that became normal, you have to break that down. You have to detox. You have to declutter your mind from that. You have to, we say Jesus in therapy. I'm all for therapy. I'm all for coaching. I'm all for counseling. I'm an advocate for getting the help necessary so that you can be healed and whole. So I think that she definitely has to identify that this is something that happened in my childhood. I saw this and now I am become that. A lot of times we become the very thing we despise.
Yes,
if
we
we're not
do.
careful.
We
And
do.
so it becomes a defense mechanism for her. No, you don't agree with me. So this is how I saw this acted out in my childhood. So as an
Right.
adult, you have to now say, that's dysfunction.
Right.
I don't want that. I love this man. He's trying to have a conversation with me. Many times, people that grow up in abusive homes don't know how to communicate because communication was fighting. It was cussing each other out. It was going for blows. So I think that she definitely has to walk that thing out and identify this is where it comes from. I don't want to be this person. And was I ever really honest with my husband going into, I think that when you are somebody's friend, there are certain conversations that you have before
Right.
you get married. That's why there's a thing they say now, pre-engagement counseling. There is
Yes,
there is
our church
premarital
offers-
counseling.
our church
I don't
offers
see anything wrong with it. Child, go sit me down and tell me if this is something I should I even put the ring on talking about I'm engaged. Tell me the truth. So I think that when you walk all these things out, that you're better able to handle actually getting into a marriage and being the wife or the husband that you need to be, because you have to walk these things out. And that's and
Absolutely.
you got to want to do the work to be healed and whole and not walk around always, people that walk around like that, that's how they end up in jail.
Right.
Like,
No,
you know
yeah.
what I'm saying? For real, because in your headspace, I saw them fight this out. So I'm about to bust you upside your head out here in these streets, and now you see yourself going away in handcuffs because that's not how you solve problems.
Exactly.
So yeah,
And I also think too, especially because these people were married in this case, if you can't take constructive criticism from your person, and then you actually try to work on it, because that's the only way the relationship is going to survive. You have
Right.
to accept it and you have to work on it. Aaron has to-
Absolutely.
him and Tanya, they are alike. My other co-host, it's almost
Just
like
get
I
up. Just
they
get up.
But I also believe that you have to accept the constructive criticism. And
You
if you
do.
want this relationship, if you want to see it out, then you have to be willing to do, like you said earlier, you have to be willing to do the work and accept that this is a problem. And if you go around denying that it's a problem all the time, then nothing is going to get solved or
Agreed.
resolved. Nothing is going to
True.
get resolved. But
And that's relationships across the board.
absolutely.
Right.
And speaking of relationships, because because Pastor Dana has her own personal testimony too, and just dealing with friendships and relationships and everything. But even in friendships, you have people that say, if you have a problem, come and talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so one person decides, I'm gonna go and talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
And then the person that said, come and talk to me, they're offended. And now they cut you off.
Yeah.
And so they so mad that they cut you off, you block, and you're like, well, wait, what happened? So that creates another level of hurt, because here I thought we had this understanding where we would be able to come and talk to one another. And then now you really not there yet. You really don't know how to conflict resolve. And
Yeah.
so I'm noticing a lot of people, that's happening with people too, with
It is.
friendships. And so friendships are breaking off. And so how do people, even in relationships, because it kind of, there is a mellow thing that go across the board, but even dealing with just friends, how do people bounce back from that?
I think we have to first identify the why. Why are we friends? And again,
good.
referencing my pastor preached on friendship love last week. And we've heard it often. It's 3 types of friendships or people in your life. They're here for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And once you identify why somebody is where they are in your life, you can better then determine. Sometimes you can better determine even if it's a conversation that needs to be had. Like you have to discern. And even when it's a person who said you can come talk to me about anything, I love you so much, we could talk about anything. I think that when you watch their interaction with other people, you'll get to know that, you know what, I really can't really. And so if I do choose to come and talk to you, there is a chance that this could go to the left because I watched your interaction with other people. So, and I see that you don't handle them well. Your boss call you in and talk to you about some things with your job, and you clowning, going off. You can't handle, being brought to accountability on your job. You talk about your pastor or the first lady or your ministry leader. You can't handle that. So I already know 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be able to handle
That's
even when I
good.
come to you and talk to you because I watched your pattern. And so I think that again, relationships have to be mature. You have to understand who you're friends with and make a decision. Sometimes it's wiser not to approach the situation because it can go all the way crazy. And then again, if you feel like, you know what, this has happened multiple times and I just want to address it. I do love you, and I know that you said we could talk about anything. I don't necessarily feel like we can because I watched you with other things, but
Right.
I really want to bring this up because I value our friendship. I value
Right.
our sisterhood. I value our partnership. I value, whatever type of relationship that it is. And so I just think that that's my stance, is that it could go either way. So you have to make a hard decision on the value of the relationship. If it's seasonal, maybe I don't say nothing. Maybe I just
Right.
back all the way out. If it's for a reason, like our friendship is for a reason, and maybe that's because we do business together,
Right,
or
right.
our children are friends, so we kind of hang out together because they're together. Whatever it is, make it. If it's eternal, now we gonna sit down and chop this up because
Right.
you're in my life for the rest of my life. Or for, this is an eternal relationship. So I
Right.
think that we have to define why you're here and then make a decision if we're going to have a conversation.
I like that. Watch the patterns though, because when you really sit back and watch people and how they respond, and every time you look up, you having a blowout with everybody, that
Yeah.
is generally what you're gonna get. Because if
Mhm.
yeah, that was good. That was really good. Yeah, that was
Lived it.
because as she was saying it, I was actually thinking about some people in my mind. Like, had I just
Uh-huh.
paid attention, then it wouldn't have went like that because there was a pattern. I just
Yeah.
didn't pay attention. I didn't. Well, I'm gonna tell you exactly what I thought. I didn't think it
It
would
would
be
happen
me.
to me. Yeah.
That's what it was. I didn't think it would
Mhm.
happen to me, but I did see the pattern. So
Yeah.
that was really, really good. Aaron, we have a comment.
Miss Doris Graham says, "I'm a firm believer in post-marital counseling. I believe that people should be followed upon 6 to 12 months. Two people are going through life changes and need to revisit some things, maybe with finances, coming together, or vows. I don't know anyone that does this type of follow-up for couples."
Mm,
I agree wholeheartedly. And I can say being remarried, and being married for 3 years, we went to therapy about, I want to say maybe 6 months in. Now the
okay.
therapist kind of chuckled at why we came. And she's like, this is not going to be a constant thing. You're not going to need to come see me often. Whenever you guys want to come, though, you can come and talk to me. But, your reasons why you're here, I'm not saying they're not vital or important, but y'all can make y'all can make it through this. But I do agree. I agree with Miss Doris. I think that maybe not even 6 months out. Maybe it's 2 months out,
I was
because
thinking about 3 months.
it's
Yeah, 2
two.
or 3
I
months.
always say two becoming one is friction. Two becoming one is a trip. You hear me? Two becoming one, like we two different people. We have two different mindsets. Even though we have commonality. My husband and I have a lot of commonality. We love God. We worshipers. We have a prayer life. We love our children. But Me and Craig not the same.
Right.
On,
Exactly.
you know what I'm saying, on other
Mhm.
things. And some of this didn't come up until we said I do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So you
right.
got to deal with those things. So I agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So let me
I
ask a
like-
basic question. Keela brought up earlier that she thought she was healed from some stuff, and when the stuff came up, you know, she figured it was still a thing for her. Two questions: what is healing? Because I think a lot of people have a whole bunch of different answers to that question. And then, how do you know when you are?
You know when you heal when it doesn't hurt anymore.
Mhm. Mhm.
So when I say that, I mean you can be in a room with the person and there's no emotion. Like,
You don't want
for
to slap.
instance, yes, for instance, there's been times where I was in a room with my ex-husband and I'm like, okay, how much longer is this event? You know what? And I had to work through that. Holy Spirit for real was like, girl, you got to work through that. Because until it doesn't matter that your kids are grown. All five of our children are grown. It doesn't matter. At some point, I'm going to have to interact with this person. I'm going to have to interact with him. It's going to be baby showers, weddings,
Marriages,
you know,
yep.
it's going to be all kind of stuff, you know. So you're going to have to deal with this person. So I had to work on that. And so now he can be in the same room with me. Hey, how you doing? And I have no attachment. My emotions are not attached. I don't look at him like somebody give me something so I could throw it at him.
Right.
I'm done, you know, but I had to work that through. So healing, I think healing is different. It may look different to everybody, again, because the original question back when we first started was about
What type
in
of hurt?
relations to types of hurt. So for me, I just think that it has to do with your ability to now be around that person or hear that person's name and you're good. Like my husband and I, we had some people, you know, we had some issues with some people since we've been married. And it's like, okay, I can hear that name and it's nothing. It's good. So we look at each other. We could get back home and bust out laughing and be like, they mentioned that person's name and we didn't flinch. We didn't kick each other under the table. Like, we're good. And so I think those are the signs for me. Those are telltale signs when somebody mentions somebody's name and you don't go crazy and within yourself. It's not even so much what you say out of your mouth, but how do your heart start fluttering? Do your heart drop? Where's your mindset when this person's name is mentioned or you're in a room with them? Those are telltales for me.
Yeah,
That's good. That's good.
Because I remember, like in my case, I usually like joke on the person, and to me, it relieves that stuff. I joke on, but it's very cruel humor. I'll admit it, but it's funny and it makes me laugh. But it still has a little tie to not letting it go. You know what I'm saying? You know?
Yeah,
So,
but see, because it's his joke, he be the only one laughing. So we be like,
okay, I can.
but
hear you.
anyway, but okay, I'm sorry. But this is what I'm
Your
saying,
mic
like
is on.
the letting go. Yeah. Oh, sorry, is this thing going? But this is what I'm saying. It's the letting go part though.
It's the letting
Because
go.
at some point, this person has to get out of your head space.
Yeah. And you got to make a decision that that's what you want to happen. One thing that I came to realization about people that I gave that much space is that you're really giving them power. You're giving them power over your emotions. You're giving them power over how you act. You're giving them too much power that they don't deserve.
Exactly.
So I'm like, child, I got to relinquish this power I done gave you. You got me tripping.
That's real.
I'm not doing it. Nope. Yes, and Cassandra.
You know the tripped out part is if that so this is why for me, even if I still struggle a little bit, and I know don't do this at home, kids. If I still struggle at home a little bit, I don't allow the person to know, or even people who are in their circle, because I don't even want you to know that I'm bothered by you. So for me, I keep on walking. You don't think I'm bothered. I might be bothered though. But I'm never going to let you see it. So until I get to that point where we don't have that friction between us, then I'm okay. But I'm never going to let you see me sweat. And I don't
know. Oh, that's good.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you I got a question. I'll read this first. Carol Jackson says, church hurt, pastoral pain, is it for me? Or is it me or my insecurities? I love my pastor. They're the best, but I don't feel the love back. I always feel there's a struggle.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Oh, that's a lot to unpack for so
Yeah.
many reasons. That's a lot to unpack. I think that one thing, and I've been a senior pastor, I've been an executive pastor, I've been in ministry most of my life. I had leadership roles at 9 years old. So I completely understand. So what I would say to you is this. What I need us to understand as parishioners and as members of churches is that you're not the only member.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're the pastor, you're pastoring so many people, and all of you have different personalities. So perhaps we don't know what's going on in the pastor's headspace when we're interacting with them, or when we're looking for them
That's
to give us
true.
what we want, or what we desire from them. I think that if you really have this relationship with your pastor, maybe you need to speak to them and just let them know where you're at, and then they can tell you where they're coming from. Because
Mm-hmm.
I have 5 children. Well, now I have 8 children, 5 biological, 3 bonus. I have 8 children. They all have different personalities. Can you
Mm-hmm.
imagine being a single mom in a house with 5 kids with different
Mm-mm.
personalities?
Right.
Honey, it's a lot. And so my kids could say the same thing. They joke about it now. That's your favorite. I can tell that's your favorite. I don't care what you say, that's your favorite kid. But it's all based on their perception. And it's based
Mm.
on how they feel I give attention to another. So I think that we
Mm-hmm.
have to be fair when we make statements about what we feel our pastor should be giving to us, and realizing that they're pastoring a lot of people, and I'm not the only person that they're pastoring. So
Right.
I
I would
think that's
encourage you in that way.
I think that's good. And I mean, and this is not to be used as a crutch, but
Not at
I
all.
think that people forget that they're human. And
Mm-hmm.
so sometimes they're dealing with their own life situations, like you stated before. And maybe during worship and praise, they were able to wipe it off. But when you saw them in the hall, it was still there. And I
Mm-hmm.
think sometimes that they put them on this pedestal, like they're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be right there with Jesus, and
Mm-hmm.
they're not Jesus. They're
Mm-hmm.
still dealing with life situations like us. And I think when you understand that, sometimes it's a little easier to accept that maybe it wasn't personal. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? It wasn't
Absolutely.
personal.
Right.
And
Agreed.
so sometime I'll go back and I'm like, okay, they didn't wave right, but maybe it was something else. And then you see them the next time and they're like, hey, Keela. And you like, okay, we back
Yeah.
good. So
Yeah.
sometimes you do have to take never take it personal. Is just what I'm saying
I agree.
at the end of the day.
Mhm.
So Aaron, you said you had a
Men and women, we process hurt differently.
You
mm,
do.
So how a woman will process being, whatever the hurt was, and a man does it requires two different kinds of, I guess, therapy or healing process.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like one band-aid fits all, like we've said before.
True.
Have you discovered um, different ways that were more successful for men to get over hurdles more than women? So in other words, men are really like physical. They will
mm-hmm,
handle their stuff physically, and
mm,
whoever wins won.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And then most of the time, not now, but back in the 70s, 9 times out of 10, you were friends again. But now you got
Mm-hmm.
dummies out here that like to shoot people. But
Mm-hmm.
but men handle hurt differently. And another thing that men do is we don't talk about it as much as women. We will
Mm-hmm.
True.
hold it in. So how do you what would you say to a man first off who perceives his hurt different and won't talk about it?
Mm,
I think that you won't talk about it, you can't be helped.
Mm,
Like
mm-hmm,
it's like when there are men who won't go to the doctor. You know, so if you won't go acknowledge that possibly there's something going on in your body, you cannot get the assistance and help that is necessary to make sure that you have a longer lifespan. So I think it's the same thing when we're talking about hurt, pain, not wanting to talk, all of that, you know, all of that kind of stuff is you have to talk. And so for me now, I'm in a house with 3 males, my husband and 2 bonus boys, a teenager and an adolescent. And based upon their past, there was not conversation in the home. There was arguing in the home. There was bickering in the home. So when I come along and I'm like, hey, we got to talk. Hey, y'all good? Hey, what's going on? So for my boys, they looking at me like, this lady crazy. Like, that's not what we do. Like, no. We suppress. You know what I'm saying? We suppress. We good because that's how we were in our other house. We ain't talk about stuff. So me, I'm like, no. I've done this already. Been there, done that, and I understand that we have to have conversation. So I brought them into this space of acknowledgement now. Let's talk about how you feeling. Why are you walking in the house with your head hung down? What happened? Who did it? Let's talk about it. And so for my husband, because we have become friends before we got married, and now, of course, friends now, he has the freedom to feel like he can talk to me about basically anything, even if it's me. And, I mean, sometimes I don't always, you know, I don't respond always right. I'm not about to act, you know, like I'm perfect, but what I'm saying is I have given him that space. I have given him that liberty. And I think that men have to have a safe place. So maybe you want to do a barbershop talk. You know, bring a bunch of men to a barbershop because that's where they feel safe. That's where they talk. That's where you're getting their haircut and they talking about life. They're talking about experiences. So I think that you create a space for people to feel comfortable to have conversations that they would not otherwise have.
And that safe space is so important because once it's broken, it's hard to get back in that space. You know what I mean? So you want to be free, to speak to whom you need to speak to. But I think that's good, and have a good male friendship with some sound advice. Though
advice. I mean, I'm talking about, bruh, just leave her, bruh.
Exactly. If it was me, man, I'd get somebody on the side. You know what I'm saying? Like, not that guy.
That's not that guy. Don't talk to him.
Don't talk to him. And so, I guess because of course, as always, the hour just goes too fast when we're on topics like this. We're at the 47 mark. And I'm kind of sad because I feel like it's so much more.
We can come back. We can do a part 2.
Thank you, Pastor Dana. we need a part 2. We need a part 2. But just speaking on we talked about the friendships. We talked about the relationships. Let's talk about in the next three minutes about a parent and a child that has disconnected. And you know, everybody love to see that's your mom, that's your dad, you know. But how do a person that's been deeply hurt by their parent and the relationship is estranged now? And
I'm gonna say something that's not popular to many. I don't believe anybody should be in any toxic relationship. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's your parent or your brother, your sister, your sister, girlfriend. I don't care. What if the person is toxic? I'm not subjecting myself to poison. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So what I will say is, once you have done everything you could do, and you feel like you've tried to mend or you tried to be there and you tried to, work out all the kinks and all of the things that person, your mom or dad, the pain they have caused you, and or vice versa, because children cause pain as well. Once you have done all you can do, there's nothing else you can do. And so again, you have to make a decision. How much do you love yourself? Do I want to continue to be hurt by this person, or do I want to walk away from toxicity and live in this space of peace where pain does not exist like this? So at the end of it all, I think that's my resolve for that. I'm not staying in anything that's toxic. I'm not staying in anything. I'm not. That's like you just gonna drink poison. Who just
Right.
drinks poison, like willingly drinking poison?
Right.
I'm not doing it. So that's for me. The other piece to that is when there is conflict, having an open heart to receive what the other person is saying. So I've talked before we came on air about my children in my former marriage, and them coming to me saying you punked out. Like, you just let us be disrespected. You let us be disregarded. Blah 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 blah. I had to own that. I had to hear their truth. I had to hear their pain, and I had to address it as such. I've had to apologize to my children. So you cannot be too big, too proud, too arrogant to apologize. You cannot be too big to ask a person, how can I fix this? Is there something you need me to do to fix this pain that I've caused you? So I think that you have to make a choice again. Poison, can this be fixed? Can it not be fixed? And walk in your truth. Once you make a decision, not living in a land of regret.
I like that you said that, because it makes me think of that statement that people would say that if a person is sharing with you and what is done, because some people like to say, well, no, that's just how you took it. Once I tell you that I'm hurt, you can't tell me that I'm not.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you have to respect the fact that even if you didn't mean it that way, it still hurt me.
True.
So now we have to deal with that. And I think sometimes a lot of people don't want to accept that part. Like, I want to talk to you, but if you say that this is what I did, then I'm good, because that's not what I said. That's not what it meant.
Yeah.
But no, you have to accept what they say, even if it's not what you agree with sometimes.
Yep.
Because
Their
that's the only
perception
way.
is reality.
Right. Yep,
Yep.
it definitely is.
Exactly.
This is so good, y'all. We need a part 2.
And 3 and 4 and 5. Yeah.
Because it goes so much deeper than this. Even talking about the church hurt with so many people, which and I know I hope nobody gets offended when I say this, but sometimes I know that the church hurt is a real thing, but for me, sometimes as a mature Christian, I kind of I'm like, okay, I don't have to deal with them. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not dismissing that people have been hurt. So I don't want anybody to take it that way. But we have to get into a space of saying that if I'm going to be Christ led, then if Christ is for me, then who can be against me? And that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I'm not dismissing your hurt. I'm just saying that you have to bring it back in and say that I have to get over this. And I'm not going to allow this to affect me in my walk with Christ, is what I'm saying.
Agreed.
So now I'm off the soapbox with that one. But I'm going to share a few things for that Pastor Dana has coming up. Keela was always on point with this. I have learned to protect my heart. Well, thank you, Mother. I appreciate that compliment.
Yeah, we both
I love
appreciate
it.
the compliment. I'll break a piece of that compliment off too.
No.
love
Toxicity. You
it.
can love them from a distance. Thank you, Pastor Dana. Absolutely. Definitely can love them from a distance. And the one thing that stands out to me that reigns is what she said. As long as you feel like you've done everything you're supposed to do, then don't hold yourself there. And I know a friend of mine, I don't know if he wants to want me to say his name, but he had a situation, and so he pretty much did what he was supposed to do. And at this point, it's like, well, you just have to wash your hands and let God take care of it. And like that old meme used to say, it's above me now. You know what I'm saying? It's above me now. So we're going to create a challenge. I'm going to let Pastor Dana create the challenge. But in the meantime, before we create the challenge, she's going to tell us about some things she have going on. So this first one is
28 days of prayer. We are still in it. Tomorrow is day 19. We are on Facebook and YouTube daily at 6 a.m.
Yes.
Eastern Standard Time. Join us as we pray and seek the face of God with different guests every day.
This right here is fire. And I'm not just saying this because she's sitting on the podcast. Thanks to Tracy Mullins for tagging me in her post, because sometimes I'm always listening to her while I'm traveling to work. So that's why sometimes I'm in and out. And then once I get to work, I hear the rest. It's powerful, guys. I'm telling you, you don't want to miss the next, how many more days we have? 11. You don't want to miss the next 11 days. Okay. So tell us about this.
This is the Birthing Room Women's Conference that I am doing at my Spiritual Moms Church, Bishop Kim Davis. So we will be in the DMV area, Philly. We'll be in Downingtown, Pennsylvania, and Wilmington, Delaware. She has 2 churches in 2 states, and we will be bringing the conference to her area on Friday, April 12th through Sunday, April 14th.
Awesomeness. And then if you ever want to have Pastor Dana, what is this?
This is the booking flyer. You can book me for conferences, mentorship, coaching, workshops, panels, anything that you have going on. I always say I'm all things Dana. So whatever
All
you
things.
need, you can go to the website and put in danadberry.com. Go to the website and click booking, and it'll ask you Dana the intercessor, Dana the coach, Dana the preacher, whatever. So whatever you need, I am availing myself to come.
A woman of many hats. And finally, this.
It's my husband's. His birthday was last Sunday. So this was a flyer we posted asking you to help celebrate his birthday. He is a producer, music producer, and he released a song called Big Big Guy. It's available now on all digital outlets. Go to the digital outlet and put in Craig Mizell or put in Big Big Guy, and it's going to come up, and it's a whole vibe, y'all.
But that song is fire. So I'm not gonna even lie. I'm listening to it. It's a really good workout song too.
Somebody else posted that they were working out to it. That is a good speed for working out.
It really is. It really is. So, girl, I'm like, okay, I get on the treadmill and I'm like, it's some songs I added, and then when you posted it, I'm like, I'm gonna have to add that to my
thank
playlist.
You.
Yes,
thank
definitely.
You.
So, guys, we have a few more comments, and then Pastor Dana, while I am doing this, what is the challenge for the week?
My challenge for you is to be honest with yourself. Is there any pain, any hurt, any residue of things that you actually need to deal with? I always tell people to journal the journey. So maybe you want to get a journal and you begin to write out your feelings and begin to ask Holy Spirit to deal with the root of the matter, to help you deal with the pain of the matter, to give you a formula to deal with it. And maybe part of that formula is reaching out to a coach, reaching out to somebody to mentor you, reaching out to a therapist, and doing the work. It's work to be healed, y'all, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
Yes, it is worth it.
Wow.
And Carol Jackson, I'm reading your comment. We'll definitely be saying a prayer for you. But in the meantime, if you haven't tuned in to the 28-day prayer, I'm going to suggest to start there, because sometimes when you don't know what to do, God gives you the answers through other things. And so I'm going to suggest that.
A dream.
11 days. Yes, you can always catch the replay. I suggest going back there to do that too. So you guys heard the challenge. She already gave us the yes for a part 2. We're gonna dive into the part 2, because it's other things. It's just so much going on in the world right now. So many people walking around so angry. So we appreciate that. We're gonna talk to her off the grid about part 2. We're gonna ask that you don't hang up right away. And guys, you guys have an awesome week. And until next time, see you later.
See you next time. Thank you so much, Pastor Barry.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.